Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Chocolate Covered Pages. I'm Kiona. Now that we've gotten all that negativity out of the way, it is time to talk about the best books I read in 2023. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's get straight into it because I don't want this video to be too long, but I have so many books that I want to talk about that I really enjoyed because like I said before, in 2023, I was on some quality over quantity. I DNF'd a hell of a lot of books, so the books that actually made it through, a lot of them I ended up really liking because I continue reading them for a reason, you know what I mean? So I have a top 10. The number 10 is gonna be One Blood by Deneen Milner. This book follows 3 women and they are all connected in some way. The first character we get is Grace. If I'm honest, I wish this entire book was just about Grace. Like, that is how much I absolutely enjoyed Grace's voice, and I was absolutely sad to not get more of her voice. I was, because the book is broken up into 3 parts. Grace is the first part, the second part is a woman named Dolores, and then the third part is a woman named Ray. I won't spoil it in saying how they are all connected, but what I will say is that this book talks a lot about Black women, motherhood, absolutely motherhood. There is definitely some trauma here, so keep that in mind if you decide to to pick it up. There's a lot of secrets. There is definitely some talk about infertility. I really enjoyed it. I love books that make me kind of like really think about things and have conversations, and this was definitely one of them. Coming in at number 9, we have The Art of Hood Love Savvy by Antoinette Sherrill. I had to put this on here. I had to put this on here. This is urban fiction goodness. This is book 1 in the Art of Hood Love series, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I feel like this is one of those books where once you pick up book 1, you just can't stop reading the series. You have to continue on reading the series and seeing how is it all going to end. There is shadiness, shystiness, backstabbing, secrets, all of the things that we know and love in urban fiction. Oh yeah, and there's the romance. For the most part, we follow 4 main characters, which is going to be Savvy, Shabu, Michi, and Titan. And these 4 alone have a lot going on, okay? But then Shabu and Titan are brothers. They have a family, and their family members have things going on as well. So it is a lot to read in this book, in this book 1. It's a lot to read in this entire series, and I originally read the first Antoinette Sherrill book, which was Darker Dreams. Which was Whole of Dreams, and that was her Halloween book. And then I was just like, you know what? If she could write Black vampires this well, I would read like Black Hood Vampires. First of all, check that book out. That book was good. Then I want to see how she writes a regular urban fiction novel. I knew it was going to be good, and I was glad that I was able to catch it in its completed version because I did not have to wait, and neither do you. I will have all of these books linked down below in the description box, so feel free to click around and get you some more books. Coming in at number 8, we have Amour, an Illicit Affair by Doc. I absolutely love this book. This is a standalone, and this is what I'm talking about. Urban fiction romance standalones, okay? These do not get all the love and praise that they should have because Give me a one and done. Like, knock it out the park the first time. I don't care how long you need to make it, but let it be a one and done. Let me think about these characters later on nice and fondly. Like, let me look back on them. Everything don't need to be 10 books in a series. I'm just saying. So this author definitely hit us with a one and done, and I absolutely enjoyed it. So in this book, we're following a guy named Yannick, aka Yaya. And Yaya's father has just passed away. His father was living in the U.S. And Yaya and his family, his mom and all of his brothers and sisters, they are living in Ghana. His father was, kind of connected to the movers and shakers in the U.S. And he was hooked up with this guy who, kind of put him onto the drug game, and he was able to make money for his family in the U.S. and then he was sending the money back to his family back in Ghana. And now that his father is gone, they're kind of saying that, Yannick, he's the oldest son, he needs to go to U.S. and continue his father's legacy. What he finds out is that the guy that his father was originally hooked up with in the U.S., he was kind of dependent on him because his father was the one who kept everyone connected. His father was kind of the actual nucleus because his father, was Muslim, and he was connected to the other African guys in their own society. They didn't trust any outsiders. Yannick needed to go there, show his face, make it known that, hey, I am going to be here. I'm gonna, step in for my father. We could continue this, whole relationship for everyone involved. And Yannick also agrees to marry the guy who brought him back to the U.S. that his father was dealing with. He also agrees to marry his daughter. So we've got an arranged marriage going on here. It's a lot going on. We have a lot of showing of the Islamic faith, and I absolutely love that as well. I've never read an urban fiction novel where the main character was Muslim and he was practicing Muslim. Like, he would pray and pull out, his prayer carpet, and that was definitely a first for me. And I feel like it felt very authentic. He also meets a woman named Amor, and Amor is Amor is different. Amor is that girl. She does not play. And Yaya had to learn the hard way about that, I will say. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. The romance in this is really good. The sex is really good. Just everything about it. Like, I don't really have anything bad to say about this book. I feel like it was everything that I could have hoped for. And I always love when I'm reading urban fiction and then there's some extra elements going on there. Traveling back to Ghana and, giving us the information as far as, like, what is it looking like? What is it smelling like? Just all of the things. Like, it was just a well-written and well-researched book, I could say. Coming in at number 7 is going to be None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And this is honestly one of the best mystery thrillers I read all year. I read some terrible mystery thrillers throughout 2023. And that's only because I knew they were bad when I was reading it. And then I just continued to hope that things were going to change, and it didn't. But this one right here, this one was really good. I was very surprised. I was absolutely thrilled. It is about a woman named Josie. She becomes a bit obsessed with another woman in her life. Following her into the bathroom and trying to insert herself into her life. But it's not single white female, if that's what you're thinking. It's a little worse. It might be a little bit worse because it's a lot of things going on in this book, and the secrets just never ended. Every time I thought that I had, okay, this is what it is, it's all laid out, that I was wrong. I thought I knew what the hell was going on, but I did not. And I love that for me. I love thinking that I got everything all ironed out and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yes, surprise me. I absolutely love that. So I'm looking forward to picking up some more Lisa Jewell this year because I like the way she writes mystery thrillers. I like the way she wrote that one. So hopefully she has some other books that she's killing it on. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Lemon Pepper by Nina. This is another urban fiction romance standalone, and I absolutely love this book. I love this book so much. Like, this book was so good. First of all, with this title, I don't know what the hell I was getting. I had no idea what the hell I was getting because lemon pepper what? This is a very strange title. And it just really just doesn't tell you much of anything. But I'm just gonna say it so that when you decide to pick this up, you don't feel strange about the title. Lemon Pepper is the name of a project. Okay? Let's just, so we could just know what that means and we could just move on, right? This book is everything. This book is talks so much about grief. We follow two people that are a woman and a man. I can't think of their names right now, and for the sake of the length of this video, I'm just gonna keep going without looking it up. Y'all don't need to know the names. It's not that important. But these two people, this woman and this man, they lost siblings. They lost siblings on the same night. And they are both struggling through grief. Like crippling grief. And they are both dealing with it in their own way. You know, the guy, he just really has kind of like retreated from most people. You know, he just kind of keeps to himself for the most part. And then the other woman, you know, she has also kind of retreated from a lot of people. But she has a niece that she takes care of. That definitely helps in kind of her like getting out there a little bit more. And she does baking, and I just found the female main character in this book to just be unlike any female main character I've come across in urban fiction novels. Like, she was just so heartwarming. She was just warm, you know, like, you know, when you just are around someone and they're just nice, you know, there was no like nasty shady thoughts. But one thing I will say is that if you play with her, you're going to see the other side of her. I will say that. And I can respect that, you know, because I was wondering, like, how nice is she? But she got tested, and yeah, they effed around, and they definitely found out that, yeah, you know, she's a nice person, but please don't play with her. And I just really enjoyed this. There is a character now. I do remember this character. One of my favorite characters in this entire book was Oak. And Oak is the younger brother of the male main character. And Oak is just, he's just so sweet. He has a mental disability, but he is just, he was so funny, and he was, his parts were just funny and raw. I would like to hang out with Oak. You know, just him getting older and him starting to learn more and his innocence. It was just so sweet. And then how the female main character, how she treated Oak with such care and intention was just amazing. It was just amazing. And you know, that whole side, with the male main character, it's him and his brothers, and it's always just been him and his brothers. And that is one thing that I know that Nina can write very well, is she know how to write some brothers. She definitely know how to write some brothers and chop up all of the different personalities. This was my first book by Nina, but it certainly was not my last, because after I read this book, I knew I needed to read some more of Nina, because that pen is lethal, because I was feeling so many emotions from reading this book. I was smiling, I was laughing. The sexual tension was delightful, and it was just, it didn't even really feel like urban fiction, honestly. Like, it just felt soft. You know how urban fiction usually feels more like, like a little gritty or whatever. Like, this just felt like kind of like if you took a Hallmark movie and you put it in the hood. Like, it was kind of like that. But there is definitely some drama. There's some shooting in the beginning. So I guess, okay, there's the urban fiction elements right there. But for like a large part of this book, it's soft and it's warm and it's fuzzy and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I enjoy reading books where we are seeing how a character is getting through grief, and the things that they are doing to try to cope. And I like seeing them. I mean, obviously they're always going to be grieving this person. That's never gonna stop, right? But I love seeing how when they get on the other side of it, to where it's like, I can acknowledge that I still miss and love this person, but I can also acknowledge that I'm still going to be able to live life, and I'm not taking anything away from, what happened to this person I love by now being happy. And I think that is what happens a lot when people are dealing with grief, is that they're so, they could be really afraid of feeling happy. You feel a little guilty, So I really enjoyed the conversation around that. Number 5 is going to be The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. First of all, this book was very long, and I just want to pat myself on the back, because I read this book with my eyes. I read this book with my eyes the entire time. Not one piece of audiobook, because I read it. I was reading this before this actually even came out. This came out on Halloween. I read this in October, so I read it before it even came out at all. But like, this book was very hard to read, I will say. It's very long, but Tananarive, it's what she does. It is just what she does. I don't know why we are surprised when she kills it. Was I afraid? No. It's very hard to scare me in books. I don't think I've ever been scared from a horror book. I've been grossed out. Like, I've read some pretty like creepy scenes, because I don't like certain things with like where it's like small and moving. Like, don't tell me nothing about that. That'll literally make my skin crawl. Like, I don't like that type of stuff. Or like something growing. I don't like that type of stuff. But like somebody, chopping a head off, I could deal with that. I could read about that. So in this book, we follow Robert Stevenson Jr. And Robert Jr. and his older sister Grace, they are living in Gracetown, Florida, 1950. And this is completely set during the Jim Crow era, so you can imagine all of the things that they have to deal with. Their father, Robert Stevenson Sr., he was doing a lot of organizing in the town with other black men. trying to get them to unionize, and them white people did not like that. They will, they will make up anything. They found this woman to say that he, raped her. And of course, once somebody is even whispering, okay, that a black man has touched a white woman, oh, it's a done deal, baby. It is a done deal. So Robert Stevenson Sr. had to flee. I think he went to Chicago. Yeah, I believe he flees to Chicago, but he leaves his kids there, and he leaves his kids with this elderly woman who is a friend of the family. Their mom passed away, so that is their guardian for now, but they decided to just move back into their old house, and it's just the two of them. But one day the one of their neighbors, a white kid who's around the same age as Grace, he tries to get at her, and Robert Stevenson Jr., he ain't like that, like, don't be touching my sister, and he kicks him. Oh Lord, why did he do that? This is how Robert Stevenson Jr. ends up at this boys' reformatory school. And there was a lot of them back in the day, as you might know. And we're still getting more and more information as the years go on about some of the disgusting things that took place at these reformatory schools. The most of the book is Robert in this school. Grace is trying to get him out any way she can. She is meeting with civil rights leaders. She is doing all she can as his older sister to try to get him out, because he's young, he's soft. One of the things that you hear about this reformatory school is that there are a lot of ghosts, which they call haints, and Robert can see them. Once the warden finds out that Robert can see these, he becomes obsessed with getting Robert to trap them, to become a haint catcher. Once Robert says, like, okay, it's over there, then they put it in a jar, and now they're no longer kind of haunting the warden or haunting the children. I didn't find it scary, but I just found it to be just a well-written horror novel for sure. And the horror is obviously racism. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this book is how Tana Narif her mom's name was Grace, and her mom was heavy in the civil rights movement, and that's why she named that main character Grace. As the older sister, her name is Grace. And then John Dorsey is the name of her father. I love how she found a way to integrate them. This seemed like a very personal story to her, and I appreciate her for sharing it with us. Coming in at number 4, we have Needful Nor by Takara Allen. And this should be no surprise. I absolutely love this book. This was my first Takara Allen book, and it will certainly not be my last, because I picked up another Takara Allen book as soon as January hit. So you will be seeing her name throughout this channel, and I don't care. I'm sorry. This book was very long. It is very worth it. And it is a great book for book clubs, because there is a lot of conversation around women, I will say. We follow a girl, well, I would call her a woman, but she's a young lady. She's in her 20s. We follow a woman named Nor. Nor has had a very traumatic childhood. Her mom used to abuse her and her brother, mainly her, but her and her brother, there was a lock on the refrigerator, so you could just imagine how that affects her as an adult. She has a very difficult relationship with food because of that. She's somehow able to get a job as a nurse to this very wealthy family, and she becomes a nurse to the wife in this family. And while she is the nurse of the wife of this family, she is very very attracted to the husband. If this definitely does not sound like your type of thing, obviously skip it. But you see, for me, it doesn't bother me. I wanted to see where this was going to go. And I will not consider this a romance, but what I will say is that this book was fantastic. And I said this before in another video. This was a great conversation on women who come off as very soft and feminine, and you know, every time a guy says something new to them, they're like, oh wow, huh. And then versus, you know, another woman who might be considered, you know, independent and strong or whatever, and a guy like trying to impress them, and then them being like, okay, like, that's it? That's what you have to tell me? Like, you know, and it just talks about how men really like to feel like they are that dude, you know. Listen, I don't want to say too much, because I think that this is a book to where you really should just go into it. Just start reading a couple pages and see what happens. You know, you might continue reading the whole book. I think this was the longest book I read last year, and it was 870 pages. And I'm telling you, I never, not one time, felt like, oh, will this hurry up? I never felt like that. I never felt like that. I felt like I appreciated that no page was wasted. You know when the book is really long, and sometimes you could just tell that it's some filler pages in there. This was not the case. Everything just felt very intentional. There's a reason why we're getting this information. You know, like, there's also like a little bit of a mystery element involved. You know, it was a lot going on, and this is another book that I don't think that I would consider urban fiction. I just feel like this was just fiction. This was just women's well, women probably ain't going to like the main character. I did not like this main character. And listen, at the end of the day, like, I can still love a book and hate the main character. Maybe I should make that a video. Main characters that I hated, but books that I love. I like that idea. But yeah, I did not like this girl. At first, I felt very sorry for her. But then, by the time I got maybe halfway in, I had decided that, yeah, you know, Nor, I would have to give you a little two-piece, because like, no. But I love the book. It was a very good book. The author did a very good job with this one. Coming in at number 3 is going to be On Us by Nina. And you might be like, how did Nina get on this list twice? Because she is writing fire, and I could not in good faith say, you know what, I already got lemon pepper on here, I can't. No, I gotta keep it real, and On Us by Nina is very good. But let me just tell you, before you pick up On Us, make sure you pick up the first book in the series, which is called Front Street Porter. Now, I feel like Front Street Porter lays the foundation for On Us, for the On Us series. Now, the series is On Us 1, 2, and 3. This book is about a family of guys, the Porter brothers. And the Porter brothers, they are rough, they're toxic, they do not care, they're just gonna do whatever it is that they want. Some of them are a little spoiled, some of them are mean until they meet the right person. It's just this series is just highly addictive, I will say. That is definitely the word that I would use, is that it's very addictive, because once you start Front Street Porter, you're so happy that there are 3 more books in the series for you to read. Okay? And I feel like Front Street Porter was good, but I feel like On Us really takes off in the series. So that's why I put this one as the one that that I absolutely would want to put in my top 10. Once again, urban fiction, romance, the goodness. You know what? Let me take that back. This is not a romance. There is some romance in between here, but it is so toxic. Like, the relationships in this series is just so toxic that I would really just have a hard time saying, oh yeah, this is a romance. You know, it's a happily ever after. No. Do not go into this book thinking that you're going to be feeling all warm and fuzzy and stuff. Like, you're going to be highly uncomfortable. You're going to be screaming to the top of your lungs at some of the things that some of the men in this series are doing. But there are some very nice moments. I will say that. There are some very nice moments. Every time you thought something was calm, it was not. There was always something going on with somebody because it's so many characters. It just felt like so many books in one. I would love some breakout companion novels for some of the other brothers in the future. I would also love, there is another book called Hassan that the author gave out a limited release of physical copies. Every time I see somebody with a physical copy of Hassan, that is the name of the Porter Street brothers. It is the name of their father. So this is their father's story. Now in the series, their father has already passed away. So all we get is snippets. Okay, all we get is snippets of his life and what was going on in the past. And I absolutely love those snippets. And there is also a videotape involved that sheds a whole lot of light on the dynamics in the between the brothers and the family and all of these things, right? I would absolutely love to get my hands on a copy of this physical book that is literally only in its physical form, which is about the father. So if you got a hookup for that, please let me know. Or if you hear about her offering this physical copy of the book at some point, please hit me up and let me know because I am dying to get my hands on that. Alright, y'all. Now it's time for number 2, and that is going to be Hungry Ghost by Kevin Jarrett Hussein. Y'all, this book right here, this book is so good. This book could have easily been number 1. Honestly, I kept going back and forth. I just kept going back and forth. But this book is a historical fiction. It's set in the 1940s in Trinidad. I am loving all of the Trinidadian books. You know what it is? It's not just a good story. It's bringing so much culture, and it's just making the story just better. I don't know. It's making it so much better. This book it's hard to explain it, honestly. We are following a small area in Trinidad called the Barracks. And in this area, a lot of these it's a bunch of families, and they're all kind of living on top of each other, and they're very poor. And one of the the father from the main family in this story, he is working for a very rich family. He's working for a very rich man, who is married to this woman, and he goes there every day and he's working there with a couple of other guys who live in different areas of Trinidad, right? This man, he's a family man. He has a son. He has a wife. And somehow things all go to shit. They all do. And I don't want to tell y'all. All I have to say about this book is that there are so many surprises. I mean, it talks a lot about not having, and when you don't have, and there becomes sometimes this desperation to be one of the haves because you're tired of not having. And there's a conversation about, like, how far are you willing to go? What are you willing to give up? You know, when you're just tired of just day in and day out of just living this way, you know? This book is just so freaking good. The boy in this story he is considered our main character, and he's got his own things going on. He has, you know, these bullies that he has to deal with all the time. You know, there's a girl who lives in the barracks as well, and he has a crush on her. Like, there's just so many things going on, and with the neighbors, it's hard for me to talk about this book without spoiling it, and I really don't want to spoil it. But just know there's a lot of characters. There is a little Trinidadian folklore involved as well that I really enjoyed. If you need concrete answers on certain things, you probably won't get it. This is the type of book where certain things are inferred. You just gotta use your brain and say, okay, well, clearly this happened, you know? So and usually that's not enough for me. Usually it's not, but I have accepted it in this book, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I loved it to pieces. At first when I was reading it, I really was unsure what to make of it. Like, I did not know what to think of this book going into it, and I was kind of like, this is a little strange. I put it down at first, and then I came back to it. I decided to listen to it on audiobook, and then I wasn't really feeling the narrator because he had a very thick scruffy Trinidadian accent, and it was very, like, super scruffy to the point where I was having a hard time understanding him because his voice wasn't super clear. So what I did was I lowered the speed. I literally listened to this book on 1 time the speed, and I never listen to books on the speed that it is in real time because it's always way too slow for me. But this one, I needed to hear him very clearly because, you know, his voice was not like, his voice was really like super, super deep. I can't even get that deep. Super, super deep. So I needed to make sure I heard everything right. And then once I did, it was smooth sailing after that. I feel like the narrator did a very good job. After him and I found the right pace we needed to work with each other on, I was like, okay, I'm rocking with you now. But yes, with all that being said, you will definitely want to pick up this book if you want to read a book that is very different from anything you've ever read. And I think that's the best way I could put it. We've come to the end. Coming in at number 1, which will be no surprise to anyone because I have not shut up about this book all year, and you didn't see it in my top. You didn't see it in the rest of the top 10, so you know it's number 1. Age of Ice by D.T. Kapoor. This is another book that is super, super long, and I am starting to realize something about myself. I really love big books. I really love big books that have so much story. Give me so much story. Don't fill me with nonsense, but just fill the pages with everything I need to get so close and and comfortable with these characters. That's what I love. I love a saga. Give me a damn epic saga, and that is a guarantee to be in my top 10. And that was one of the goals that I had in, for 2023, like to just slow down, pick up books that are much larger than ones that I was running from in the previous years. And it just really paid off, and I'm just happy that I decided to do that, because getting to really like read and really sit with a book is just unmatched. I would much rather this than, 2, 3, 250 page books that are just like, okay, just give me this. Just give me one good, thick book, and I'm loving it. This book is broken up into 3 parts. This book is talking about a guy named Ajay who is poor, and he is from an area in India called Uttar Pradesh, and he becomes a servant to the son of one of the most powerful men in New Delhi. And the son's name is Sunny, and Sunny is, powerful by way of his father. So he's kind of powerful, but he's not that powerful. And I feel like the word vice is really about him. The fact that this is called Age of Vice, it has a lot to do with him and about him having all of this money at his disposal. And he is literally doing whatever the hell he wants. He's doing all types of drugs. He's having all kinds of parties. He is indulging in all the things, prostitutes, just all of the things that he could get his hands on, till it's just like, okay, what else is there in life other than so much of these things you are consuming that you feel like make you happy, but do they really? Or are they just like temporary moments of, oh, I could get this, so I'm gonna get it. But then after, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm bored. There's also a woman in the 3rd part named Netta, and Netta is in love with Sunny. And these 3 people are all, in my opinion, pawns in this big crime family that Sunny is a part of, with his father and his uncle. They are really the ones that are, they're in charge of everything. They rule India for the most part. This book, it's hard for me, because so much happens in this book that honestly, I just feel like you just need to pick it up. I feel like I've said all I needed to say about this one, but at this point, you really just need to pick it up. Just start, from the beginning. In the beginning, it really starts off with a bang, literally, because there is a Mercedes car, and it ends up killing a bunch of people. And when they open the door to see who's in it, it's Ajay. And we're all wondering, how the hell did Ajay get in this very expensive Mercedes car, and he's driving it, and he's drunk. Like, this don't seem like the Ajay we get to know in the first part at all. That Ajay is very subservient. He wants to please Sunny. He wants to get things for Sunny before Sunny even thinks that he needs it. I really enjoyed Ajay's chapters. I really enjoyed the evolution of Ajay as well. And this is actually book 1. So I do not know when book 2 is coming out, but when I tell you, as soon as book 2 is announced, I'm pre-ordering, because I want it. I want it now. I have one Deepti Kapoor book, because she wrote one other book before this one, and I now have it in my possession, and I cannot wait to check it out this year and see, is this just new Deepti Kapoor, or was she always writing heat? So yes, And again, if you are someone who really likes crime novels, mafia movies, you will definitely appreciate reading about Indian mob bosses. Woo! So that is going to be the end of this video. This was a long one, y'all. My mouth is dry. I'm gonna need some water and I'm gonna need some food now. But I appreciate y'all for sticking with me throughout this entire video. I hope that you found some books that you will be able to pick up this year. Make sure you let me know which ones you're looking forward to. And make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And give me a thumbs up. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!